Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I just wanted to come and give you guys my birth story. I know that I put up a vlog and then I also did my 2-week postpartum update for me and baby girl. I actually wanted to get my birth story up before I put up the postpartum update, but she was just not having me sit down and film this video. This is like my third time trying, so hopefully third time's a charm, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and just jump right into it. And if you hear baby girl, she's right here in her crib for the first time. Like I said, she likes to grunt, so if you hear her, that's what it is. So, getting started, I was so done being pregnant by the time I was like 34 weeks pregnant. Like I was just so done. I was over it, and I just was thugging it out. I didn't think that I was actually gonna go to January with this baby. I thought that I was gonna give birth at the end of December, but that didn't happen. So I would say once 37 weeks approached, I started trying to induce labor, just doing little things. Pretty much eating pineapples is pretty much all I was doing at first. Eating pineapples and taking baths, that's the only thing I was doing. So once I hit 38 weeks, I started walking up the steps, up and down the steps. I'm just walking in general, like around my complex. I was eating pineapple still. I was taking baths, especially after I walked up and down the steps. So I was doing all that. Still nothing. So 39 weeks hit and I was still pregnant. And by this time, I was so done. So I was eating pineapples, walking up steps, taking baths. My boyfriend was scared. Hubby did not want to have intercourse because he's just like, no, you are too far along. Even though the midwife actually encouraged it just to get it started. But yeah, that didn't work out. What else did I do? I started drinking red raspberry tea. I did the evening primrose oil, which is very interesting because you have to, what was I doing? I know you have to stick a pill vaginally, you're supposed to do, and I think I was also taking some by mouth as well. I didn't do the castor oil just because I heard, you poop like crazy, and I didn't want to do that, so I didn't do that. But other than that, everything. I tried everything. So on January 21st, I asked hubby to give me a foot massage. I saw online that reflexology can trigger, it's like the trigger pressure points in your foot can trigger labor. So he did that night around, he finished like around 10, and then I watched baby girl move around in my belly some, and then we went to bed. Oh, and then that night I also did the primrose oil, sticking the pill up vaginally. So yeah, so that was January 21st. January 22nd at 1 a.m. I went to the bathroom and I was bleeding, spotting. Okay, so that's fine. 1:30 came around and had to go to the bathroom again, so I went to the bathroom, and now parts of my mucus plug was falling out again with the bleeding. So I'm like, okay, this is great. I know that, your mucus plug maybe falls out a day or two, maybe you go into labor, sometimes a week, you never know with those things. But I'm like, okay, so, we're getting there. So labor's gonna start soon. I was really excited. So I go back to bed. Around 3:15, I woke up to a contraction, and I was like, oh my God, am I having a contraction, or is this Braxton Hicks? Like, what's going on right now? So I go pee again, still with, I was spotting, having parts of the mucus plug still come out. So I was excited again. So I'm like, all right, 3:15, I had the first contraction, and then maybe 5 minutes later, I'm having another, and then it'll stop and I can go back to sleep. So the contractions started, and I was just like, all right, please let this be the real thing. Please let this be the real thing. So on and off again. Ooh, somebody is pooping. So 3:15, so that happened up until I woke up, and I woke up at about 5:30, and the contractions were a lot stronger, and I finally woke up my boyfriend, and he's just like, or I was in the bathroom, still parts of the mucus plug is still coming out, I'm still spotting. It wasn't like a heavy bleed or anything, so I wasn't like, oh my god, I need to go to the hospital. Fourth baby, so I already knew what to expect. So I woke him up finally, and he's just like, what are you doing? What's going on? I'm just like, oh, babe, my contractions started. I'm having contractions. He's like, all right, so should we start timing them? And I have like my phone, and it's full of contractions. He's like, wait, these started at 3? Why didn't you wake me up? I'm like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do for me? Because I'm not really the type, like, I don't need like the support. Like, I just need you to be quiet, and I just need to close my eyes and just get through the contraction. So I didn't wake him up. I didn't feel the need to. So he's just like, all right, well, do you want to go to the doctor? Do you want to go to the hospital? And I was just like, no, let's just hold on. By this point, they were coming like every 5 minutes now. So I ended up calling my doula. So I called her, and she, asked me, and she was just like, all right, well, once they get closer together, you should probably start heading to the hospital. And she's like, yeah, okay. She's like, I know you like to labor at home a lot, so, let me know when you're heading to the hospital so I can meet you there. And I was just like, okay. By that time, after I got off the phone with her, they really picked up in intensity. They hurt really, really bad. So after about an hour, I was just like, you know what, let's go to the hospital, because these contractions are very intense, a lot more intense right now than I remember. I don't know how dilated I am. I don't even know if I'm dilated. So I'm just like, let's just head to the hospital now. So that was like around 6. So we get to the hospital, we go, my bag is already packed, he packs the car, and we go, we stop, we get gas. I'm contracting the whole way there, but they seemed like they were getting further apart. When we were going to the hospital, before we left the house, they were 2 to 3 minutes apart. So after we left and we were in the car, they kind of spaced out a little bit. So I was like, oh man, I'm not going to be dilated. They're going to send us all the way back home. I'm going to be so upset. And they're hurting like hell. Like, these contractions, I was in so much pain. But I was a trooper. So much pain, but I was a trooper. So we get to the hospital. I'm already pre-registered, don't have to do anything. But to get to maternity, it took us like 10 minutes just to get to maternity. It was just like a whole loopy-loop. It was just crazy. So we finally get upstairs to maternity, and they tell me to go in the room, take my clothes off, and all that fun stuff. So we do that, and a doctor comes in, and she's telling me, she works with my midwife, so they're going to be working hand in hand. So she asked me if she can check me, so she went ahead and she checked me, and I was 4 centimeters. Thank God. And I was just like, oh, okay. I was actually I was disappointed and happy at the same time, because of the intensity of my contractions. I thought I was already going to be like 6-7 centimeters. So, because that's how it was with my daughter, with my 3rd pregnancy, I felt like when I had that intensity of contractions, when I went back to be checked, I was 7 centimeters. So I thought that, it was going to be the same thing, but totally was not the case at all. So I was 4 centimeters. I was being admitted, and they had a birthing jacuzzi room available. So that's the room that we got put in. The hospital, you're not allowed to videotape, so that's why the footage is like all the way back, like it's behind, in front of me, but it was behind all the doctors and the nurses so that they didn't see that it was just continuously running. So that's why the footage is like that. But anyway, so we get to the room and I'm laboring in the room. I'm okay. I get on the birthing ball and I try and labor that way, and it worked out a lot better. It was helpful, but they still hurt like hell. So after that, I went ahead and hubby filled up the jacuzzi. So by this time, he filled up the jacuzzi tub, and I went ahead and I labored in there for about an hour and a half. And again, that was definitely a different experience, and that also helped me as well. Since I had midwives, they don't really come in and check you often. They try to make you labor naturally, and once you tell the nurse that you're feeling pressure, they'll go ahead and check you again. So I hadn't been feeling pressure, and by this time the doctor had came in. Now it's about maybe 10:30. The doctor came in and she's just like, "How you doing? I'm gonna check you." And I'm just like, "Hold on, where's the midwife?" And she's just like, "Oh, she's off in another room." I'm just like, "Oh, okay," because I was under the assumption that she was, gonna be doing everything and you were just here as backup. And she's just like, "Well, it kind of works the opposite." And my boyfriend, he automatically was just like, "Well, this is not what we signed up for when we wanted midwives. We wanted midwife to deliver us. That's what we're comfortable with. We've had all 3 of our children this way." So I was just like, I was a little bit taken back, just because, I know a doctor's approach is a little bit different than a midwife's approach. On top of that, I have never seen this doctor before. She's not even anyone that was in the practice that I was going to. So it was a little bit annoying, but I was in labor, so at this point I didn't care. So she went ahead and she left and she sent the midwife, and the midwife ended up not even checking me at that time. So, she just said I was doing great. She was looking at the monitors and everything, and she said everything looks great. She's just like, just continue to labor. So when she left, I went ahead and I started walking around the hospital. I knew that walking around definitely sped up my dilation the last time, so I went ahead and did that. So I did that for about almost 2 hours, right, 11, 12, yes. And then we asked to be checked, and that took forever. So she didn't come back in until an hour later, or an hour and a half later. Yeah, I was checked again at 1:30, and I was now 7 centimeters. Okay, so we got a special guest. So at this point at 1:30, she checked me, and I was 7 centimeters dilated. And she goes on to tell us that she gets off at 3. So if I pretty much didn't go into labor before 3, she wasn't going to be delivering the baby. So my boyfriend kind of almost flipped a lid because he was so pissed. Because again, we didn't know this doctor. We didn't know how she was going to be. So it was just annoying that they didn't explain that to us from the get-go. You know what I mean? So she left, and by this time my contractions were overwhelmingly painful. Like, that pain I had never felt with any of my kids, the contractions the way that they felt that at that time. So I ended up going back in the tub, and I labored in there up until about 4 o'clock. So we labored, and before 4 o'clock hit, the midwife at 3 o'clock, the midwife comes back in, and she comes with a gentleman, and she's just like, "Oh, this is such and such." I didn't even know what she was saying because I don't remember anything. I was just in so much pain that everything kind of just went in through one ear and out the other. So it was pretty much a male midwife that was going to be taking her place. Unfortunately for him, my boyfriend had voiced his opinion as soon as he came in, as soon as he entered the room. It was just like, "Hold on, who are you? Like, what's going on?" And explained to him who he was, and he was just like, no, we're not comfortable with having a male. He's like, no way, no how. He's like, no disrespect to you, sir, but I'm just not comfortable with that. By this time, I did not care. I'm like, listen, he's a midwife. I don't care because I am not comfortable with men. I just think, I'm sorry, I just think it's weird. That's just what I think, like male gynecologists. Like, I just don't see how in your life you were just like, oh, I want to look at vaginas for a living. Like, it's just weird to me. Sorry if that offends anyone, but I just personally don't really like men. So, but at this point, with the pain that I was having, I just told my boyfriend, listen, he's a midwife. He's going to be a lot more gentle. Hopefully, there's your midwife. And I just didn't care. And so I guess them two talked a little bit, and then they left. So after a while, it was about 4. And by this time, I was demanding some pain medication, which obviously could not happen. So they came back in. I was in the tub, and they came back in. They're like, all right, well, let us check you. So she checked me, and she's like, all right, you're 10 centimeters. It's time. So I was like, okay. Now my head is going crazy because I know that pushing part is even worse than the contractions that I was having right now, and I couldn't get any pain medication, and I was just so upset. So they get me in the bed. They start prepping everything, and at this point, my water still had not broke. The same thing happened with my 3rd child. My water didn't break on its own. My water did break on its own right when I started pushing. So, but this time around, my water did not break, and she wanted to go ahead and break my water. And then I can start pushing. So at this point, she was setting up, and she went ahead and she broke my water. And they all of a sudden called someone who called another doctor, and a whole bunch of people came into the room, and they explained to me that there was meconium in the fluids, so the baby had pooped. So we needed to get the show on the road because they just wanted to monitor her respiration. They had respiratory doctors in there. So yeah. So I pretty much started pushing at about 4:15, and it was excruciating pain. Like, it's just, oh, the pain is just undescribable. Like, you literally feel like you're going to die. Like, this cannot be life right now. I can't do this. Just get your hands in there and yank the baby out. At this point, that's what I wanted them to do. So I was screaming my head off, although I was a lot calmer this time around than I was with my 3rd pregnancy. The 3rd and 4th pregnancies are the ones that I gave birth naturally. So I was proud about that. And as you guys know, or you may not know, I did not know the sex of the baby. So I pushed, or at least I tried to push the first time, and that just was a fail. And I pushed again, and the baby started crowning, and it was just like I said.
Oh, okay, baby, I know it's mommy talking too much. Yes, I know I'm talking too much, and I'm not talking to you. You don't want all the attention, right? Yeah.
She hates pacifiers. Okay, she likes to use me as a pacifier. Let's see if I can trick you into thinking I'm standing up. Okay. So the first push was a fail. Pretty much half of the second push was a fail, although I felt the crowning. A lady came over, and I'm not really sure what she was saying to me, but whatever she said, it kind of helps because I pushed and the head was out. So that was great. So she was telling me the head is out, and honestly, I don't even know if my doula even said anything. She got to the hospital pretty late because I called her pretty late. I was too busy laboring, and I totally forgot that I had a doula. That's just what happened with that. So she got to the hospital beforehand. She got there when I was 7 centimeters. So from 7 on, she was there, but I totally forgot to call her. So by this time now, the lady who spoke to me beforehand, she's telling me, okay, the baby's head is out, the baby's head is out. And the other nurse, I see her telling me, don't fight it, push it, push, when you're having that contraction. So I don't know. I guess I knew if I pushed and her body came out, like that was going to be the end of it. So I pushed with all my might, and at 4:24, baby girl was born. And right away, they let hubby announce the gender. And so he goes, he talked very softly. So he's just like, it's a girl. And I'm like, it's a girl. And they're holding the baby in front of me. And I'm like, it's a girl? And I actually look at her, and she had some discoloration in her private area. So I thought that he got it wrong because the discoloration was a little bit darker. So I'm like, no, that's a ball sack is what I thought it was. And so I lift her leg up a little bit, and there was no penis or ball sack there, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's a girl. I'm like, oh my god. And I don't think I cried or anything, but they put her on my chest as soon as that whole ordeal happened. They put her on my chest, and she started crying pretty much right away. They were removing the mucus and everything out from her in her mouth and everywhere, but she started breathing, and she was breathing great. She started crying right away. So they didn't take her off of me. They just examined her and watched her very closely while she was on me, which was very reassuring, because once you see that many doctors in your room, you kind of lose your shit a little bit in the inside. You're trying to be strong as you can on the outside, but in the inside, you're kind of dying because you don't know what's going on. They did everything while she was on top of me. Not everything, they just monitored her, and nothing was wrong with her, and she was absolutely just fine, and she was perfect. And right away, it was kind of funny because the nurses are like, are you going to try for that boy next? I'm just like, no, I am done. I am so done. But hubby cut her cord after 5 minutes, I believe, 5 or 10 minutes, until it fully stopped pulsating, is when he cut the cord. And I forgot why he did that way. Oh, hey, baby. That is pretty much it. That is the birth story, and that is how Miss Aaliyah Gray made her entrance into this world with these wonderful set of lungs that she has. What happened? Do you want to say hi to everyone? Oh, no, you don't want to say hi. Say hi, Mommy. Say hi. Say hi, world. Is somebody hungry? So somebody is definitely hungry. I'll be doing her 1-month update in 2 weeks, because she will be 1 month in 2 more weeks. And then she has her doctor's appointment on the day that she turns 1 month. So I'll definitely be doing her update. I'm not sure if I'm going to include myself, because I don't go to the doctor until the 27th. So I'll just probably do my update a little bit after that. This is how she's content. Okay, Mommy. Oh, she's kicking off her socks. So, anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for your support and your comments. I appreciate you guys more than you will ever know. Thank you guys for sticking with me through this journey. And like I've said before, I hope you guys are as excited and are as ready for this next journey as I am. Oh, but I have to go now, so I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.